In the first part of this commentary on continuity errors in the film Thunderball, I discussed 57 continuity errors by my count. Now, I have obviously missed some continuity errors, and there's others that I just didn't feel were worth discussion. I mean, really, when you're in a fight scene, there are some things that just have to occur, and this, item fell this way, should have now be shown that way, is not what I wanted to talk about. I really wanted to show continuity errors that really I felt were valid and were there because of the editing they chose to do. Additionally, let's say that the viewer doesn't agree with all the continuity errors I showed, and say maybe 7 of those they don't agree with. If we knock those off the total, we're still at 50 continuity errors and 4.5 minutes of film scenes. That leaves virtually 1 continuity error for every 5 seconds. I mean, this is just an enormous amount of continuity errors, and so now the discussion needs to go to what's going on here and why. With this many continuity errors, the viewer needs to make their own decision about things. They have to decide that a pair of 5th graders showed up and took the places of the editor and the continuity director while the director slept in the back room, or that this was really a matter of seasoned pros deciding to have a laugh and making continuity errors part of the joke. Peter Hunt is an experienced editor, having edited all the Bond films prior to Thunderball, as well as many other films before that. So at this point, he has thousands of hours of editing under his belt, where, doing what editors do, which is really taking different takes of the scene and seeing what works together, what doesn't, what complements each other, and making sure that continuity errors don't occur. Or if they are done, masked so well that they're not shown. Instead, we have cuts that go too long, where you've got a little girl smiling in the Lincoln as it leaves the funeral, or you have the Aston Martin showing where you can see that pools of water have already come out of the car before it's actually used. Or abrupt quick cuts on mismatched floors, or outlandishly using multiple takes of the same scene. The heart of this technique is to show them one thing, then show them something else, and then go back and show them something different. Another example of that is yellow knife toss at Bond, cutting to Bavar to cutting back to a knife with a natural wood handle. Here they go through a bunch of charades pretending that the jetpack can go into the back of an Aston Martin. All they had to do was show that the jetpack was entering the trunk, cut away to the bad guys, and then cut back to them closing an empty trunk. But they don't. They partly close the trunk, then show that the trunk is done later. Clearly they're doing this in this manner because not because they're not smart guys, but it's just the goofs they want to include. Here's a continuity error I didn't mention. Bond coming down on sand where it used to be just an asphalt road to hide the stuntman transition to Bond. Sometimes props are used as a form of sleight of hand, masking what is or isn't behind them. Here a table helps us accept that a chair appears out of nowhere, while another chair helps us to forget that Bavar opens a desk drawer. Here, a down cabinet and a low camera angle allows the continuity error of a clock face, which should be heading in another direction, heading into the scene. Deliberately inserting reflective shots of the camera crew or spotlights occur in several Bond films. Here's an example with Bond leaving the gypsy camp in the film From Russia with Love. Here's a shot in the film The Man with the Golden Gun, where you'll see a spotlight as well as a spotlight operator in the reflection on the window. When Peter Hunt directed on His Majesty's Secret Service, he inserted himself in a reflection on the Universal Export sign. Nor are deliberate continuity errors new to the Bond films, as I describe in detail in my commentary on the continuity errors in the Bond film Dr. No. Easy continuity errors defined are a blind shut and then shown open. Another example has a lamp replaced by a turntable. I'm guessing that a bit of this is one-upsmanship. Filmmakers are not known for having small egos. Somebody can show this to his peer and say, look what we did, look at all the continuity errors we got away with, and as well as passing and exceeding what a filmmaker has done in his own films. What I don't have to guess about is the importance of music to elements within the scene, the pre-credit scenes in Thunderball, as well as some of the continuity errors that have been included. Some filmmakers use music to pre-visualize the scenes within their film. Almost all filmmakers use temp music or a temp score to edit their film to. Thus, John Barry's wonderful music is the official soundtrack or score to Thunderball, and the temp track music is the underscore to the film. One of the constants in all the James Bond films is to use the song "Someone to Watch Over Me" as a temp track or temp score to film scenes. If you're wondering why Jacques Bouvard does a faceplant into and under a wood cabinet, it's to sync to the words in the song "Someone to Watch Over Me," where he says, "I'm a little lamb who's lost in the woods." Here's another example of the use of that same lyric to the Bond film "The Spy Who Loved Me."
Someone who'll watch over me. I'm a little lamb who's lost in the wood. I know I could.
"Someone to Watch Over Me" is also applicable to the gun barrel or islands, if you will, which opens up a world into the James Bond films. The lyric "I like to add his initial to my monogram" inspired the business around the JB on the casket.
The coffin, it has your initials, JB.
The lyrics "He may not be the man some girls think of as handsome, but to my heart he carries the key" inspires the cross-dressing Bouvard, as well as the oddity of him deciding to lock an interior door. This plays out later in the scene as the henchmen try to get through the locked door. Here is its counterpart scene in "The Spy Who Loved Me."
To her heart I'll carry
The key!
The lyrics "Won't you please put on some speed, follow my lead" inspired Bond being chased by the thugs, as well explain the continuity era of the thugs' speed.
Won't you tell her please to put on some speed, follow my lead.
Naturally, the scene with the clock face rolling back into the scene syncs to the words "Someone to Watch Over Me." Bond makes great use of his magnetic watch to comedic effect in the film "Live and Let Die."
Oh, how I need someone to watch over me.
This temp track is used later in Thunderball when Bond picks up his hotel room key.
To her heart I'll carry the key.
I hope this has been enlightening. The full song of "Someone to Watch Over Me," sung by Sarah Vaughan to the pre-credit scenes we've discussed in Thunderball, is out on YouTube, as well are syncs to "Live and Let Die" and "The Spy Who Loved Me," among others.